with the sponsorship of the Digama Group.
Welcome to Rumbo Minero. My name is Jorge Leon Benavides, and together with Cesar Campos, we are going to develop this program. Cesar, how are you? Nice to meet you, Jorge, as always. Well, today's program includes a visit by the Rumbo Minero TV team to the facilities of Minera Condestable, as everyone is talking about, of Southern Peaks Mining. A very interesting report that you are going to be able to see. Cesar, what else do we have?
Well, as a very special guest, we have Victor Gomez, who is the president of the National Society of Mining, Petroleum and Energy, and he is also the CEO of Antamina. In a week, Jorge, in which it has been reported, as you did management, in one of its editions, that at least 49 mining exploration projects have been taken out of the portfolio, that is to say, out of the investors' interest due to the enormous red tape. This is a report that This is a report made by Gomez Peru, and we will also pass it on as a question to the head of the National Mining, Oil and Energy Society, Victor Gomez.
There is definitely a lot to talk about. Let's go now to the main mining news of the week by Gabriela Chicoma.
Thank you, Jorge. These are the main mining news of the week.
Peruvian metallic mining production grows in the first quarter. The Central Reserve Bank of Peru reported that the country's metallic mining sector production grew in the first quarter of the previous year. This result was mainly driven by the increase in copper, gold, molybdenum and zinc production, plus a base effect and the leap year. Buenaventura resumes copper ore processing at El Brocal. Buenaventura Mining Company announced the resumption of ore processing operations at its Cerro de Brocal processing plant. This important step was achieved after reaching an agreement with the community, with Huarocaca community leaders and Brocal representatives, allowing us to review and address the fulfillment of the commitments between both parties.
Many thanks to Gabriela Chicoma for the main news of the week. Well, we already met with engineer Victor Gomez, the president of the National Petroleum Society, National Society of Petroleum and Mining. Energy. We are going to talk a little bit about the need for a sustainable economic boost. Victor, welcome to Rumbo Minero.
Thank you very much, Jorge and Cesar.
Thank you for the invitation. Victor, in a United Nations Human Development Report, we see that at a national level, we have grown a little. However, we have grown unevenly. This unequal growth has generated a conflictive situation for us. Because the people who are a few kilometers away from where these mining projects are being developed or could be developed, the numbers of the national macroeconomy do not make sense to them. National macroeconomy. What should we do so that our compatriots in the deepest part of our country feel a change of improvement in their lives and not just a simple number? There is an issue there, Victor, which is the issue of many times the mining companies pay all of their taxes. They are not obliged to do so because they pay all their taxes, although sometimes they do, to do the work themselves. Those who have to do the work is the government, and many times, as we know, all over Peru. We do not execute well. So the population has a bad image of mining, or has believed that when the mining company came, there was going to be development, and suddenly there was not. What is this like?
Tell us a little bit. Yes, I thank you for the question, Jorge, and perhaps to put it a little bit in context is our geography in our territory, in our country. It is complex, it is rugged. There is a tremendous difference between the coastal zone, where there is the highest population density, where the market is larger and where there is a larger market, than the high Andean or Amazonian zones, where the density is lower. There is less business dimension, and also the access and logistics are complex. The mining projects are in the high Andean zones, and as you say, the mining industry pays taxes, and there is the concept of the mining canon with which these funds are transferred to the local governments. 20 years ago, in this regionalization, we failed to understand that it was not enough to transfer money. It was not enough to transfer money. It was also necessary to transfer capacities. If there are no capacities for the efficient use of public funds, what you say happens is that the surrounding population does not understand the correlation between more mining, more growth in mining, and not necessarily better welfare for them. It is clear that public management has to improve. Also, as you said, there are companies that have taken the work seriously to help to create project management offices, or PMO as they are called, in several regions of Peru. And that is the way to solve this issue. Otherwise, as you say, I am referring to the local population in the sense that they do not correlate mining investment with their well-being. Mining investment with well-being for them. Not necessarily everyone can work in the mining industry, but we do have to ensure that the public funds generated by the mining activity in the environment where we operate.
There, Victor, a solution would not be to have works for taxes with facilities, because it has already become bureaucratic again, with facilities for the mining companies that could directly impact the area.
Look, the works for taxation is a unique concept that does not exist in any other country, that has been created in Peru, that works, but in practice, we have to understand that it is a bridge that has to leave service at some point, because we have to ensure that the public sector is the one that executes the public works. The work for taxation is the execution of the project by the private sector, in this case the mining company, but in the long term this is not a sustainable solution. It is not its role.
We were saying when presenting the program, Victor, that this week, and you have read it, the newspaper Gestion published a report by Gomez Peru, in which it points out that 49 projects out of 55 that were on the way to be accredited for exploration have been removed from the portfolio, i.e. they have been extracted and have been stopped. Have been extracted and have been stopped due to the enormous paperwork. It is also noted that the 49 initiatives valued at $195 million were discarded because they did not comply with the application for their environmental management instrument. And in general, according to the Peruvian Institute of Mining Engineering, there are 23 mine construction projects for $33 billion, which have not been executed to date, also due to excessive red tape. This, of course, is a data that dates back to from February of the year 2022, during the government of Pedro Castillo, a populist government, a populist and anti-mining government, to the date of February of the year 2024. It has not improved much. It has the same impression. As the National Mining, Oil and Energy Society, you have the same data.
Yes, I thank you for the proof also, Cesar. What I think we should all try to understand is that mining exploration is essential for the search of new resources to sustain the industry, and it is an activity of very low environmental impact. Basically, you haul a drill rig, you make an access, you set up a drill rig, and cores are extracted from the ground and chemical inputs are used. Chemical inputs that have a minimal impact on the environment. However, in Peru, we have created a very cumbersome system that this is what generates the need for this environmental management instrument, this famous IGA. And what it does is it postpones the decision and also requires a prior agreement on access to the land. And therein appears the second great obstacle, which is that sometimes the population, misinformed or uninformed population, considers that exploration is a mine. Exploration is an advanced activity of searching for a potential mine that surely, if it is successful, that mine will be in production in 15 years, 20 years. This is how formal mining operates. However, in the informal gold mining that we are trying to regularize, the famous REINFO is an instrument, and the IGA that is requested from the REINFO, the one that is being formalized, is simply an affidavit of what it is doing. This duplicity of systems generates what we are experiencing.
And
it
precisely
discourages formal investment, the one that is going to help us to have and we are encouraging low productivity, informal activity under the assumption that this way we are helping, and we are making populist decisions and compromising the future of the country.
Now, Victor, passing a little bit of what illegal mining is, we see alarming data. In Madre de Dios, the equivalent of Metropolitan Lima has been devastated. The size of Metropolitan Lima and about 240 square kilometers have been devastated in just 1 year, mainly due to gold mining activity. Now, we see on the other hand, the Ministry of the Environment very concerned, which is fine, but very concerned about the legal companies. But we see how they are devastating in all regions, in many regions, and nobody says anything. What is your opinion of this?
And I would also like to put it in context. Gold mining, illegal, informal, has two main aspects. One of them is narrow vein mining, subway, like what we have seen in Patas. And the other is the Amazonian zone, in which erosion of these mineralized structures by erosion has created deposits almost at ground level, superficial, but that make this activity of land removal, which are alluvial. These are two activities that both produce gold, and precisely what we have had is a lack of legislation with economic sense, pragmatism, with economic sense, with pragmatism that allows us to formalize this activity. We have filled the formal activity with red tape, and in this activity that has become informal and in some cases criminal, the state is behind the solution. From the mining society, we have been insisting that traceability is key. We have to understand the whole production chain to find an integral solution. There is large-scale equipment in the Amazon area. There is certainly the use of mercury, which is very dangerous, which is not used in the case of explosive mining. They do not necessarily use explosives because, as I tell you, they are earth removals. But there is large equipment, large heavy equipment, there is use of mercury, and finally, around this business, there is a perverse ecosystem of human trafficking, child labor, and finally smuggling, because in the Amazon area, it ends up leaving either through Bolivia or Brazil.
And I am sorry, Victor, for the fact that, as you say, so many obstacles are put in the way of legal mining. Also means that illegal mining does not look favorably upon
because of so many obstacles, right? That is exactly what I was saying. That is to say, we have created a system that encourages informality, precariousness, and we have generated a system that discourages illegal mining. And we have generated a system that discourages, this is the example that Cesar showed us of the explorations, it discourages the formal. So we are playing against the future of the country.
Returning to the subject of what the Ministry of Energy and Mines is currently doing, now under the leadership of Romulo Mucho, we are playing against the future of the country. The leadership of Romulo Mucho, it should also be said in its favor that important expansion projects have been approved, as in the case of Cerro Verde, Pucamarca, and also the very fast approval of the environmental impact study of such a large number of projects. The environmental impact study of so much Huate. In fact, in spite of what we have reported and what CAM refers to, I reiterate, since February of the year 2022, all this showing of hostility towards the mining activity left by the government of Pedro Castillo Terrones, it would seem that in some way it is now being... Do you think the same thing?
Cesar did the same thing, and it is true. They have just published a regulation to try to accelerate exploration projects. Hopefully that will finally be concluded. And we are also discussing with the ministry to address the possibility of simplifying, the possibility of extending the operations, expanding the operations by 10% in the same operational footprint, in the same environmental footprint, and with the same water usage. There could be two catalysts for growth.
Fast,
economically speaking.
Well, they've also gone through that process, haven't they? Let's say the repositioning has been approved in advance and Altamira was able to go ahead.
In the case of Antamina, the life extension has been through an instrument that is a modification of the environmental impact study. This has been approved by Senate and has taken 5 years. We are now going to enter the Ministry of Energy and Mines to go to the construction process, which is somewhat simpler.
Right, very briefly. We are running out of time a little bit. Victor, Petroperu. On the one hand, the feeling I have from what I read from the population is, on the one hand, mining projects of $1,000 are, on the one hand, mining projects of $1.5 billion, so difficult, but that are coming out after many years, like Tia Maria, and with great pomp. But on the other hand, the government's wallet saves Petroperu again. Its wallet saves Petroperu again. What is your opinion of Petroperu? What should be done? What do we Peruvians also have to do? Because the truth is that You don't see
a lot of light on the horizon. Perhaps to start with the positive note that they have decided to elect Oliver Stark as president of the board of directors. He is a very capable professional, very experienced, and surely in a shrewd and knowledgeable way he will make the best decision or help the country to make the best decision for the country. The country to make the best decision. And clearly, we have to find a solution. As I was saying recently in the Ministry of Energy and Mines, we have done things a little bit backwards. We have put the cart before the horse, we have developed, we have spent a refinery. We have a potential in the Marañón Basin to be developed that goes to the Amazon area, and we have an oil pipeline that requires maintenance. We have to achieve, on the one hand, with the help of Petro, to explore more and recover the pipeline. And at the same time, we are already looking at the complete production chain with production and pipeline, production chain with production and pipeline plus refinery to try to make this equation finally work in our favor. In the short term, this restructuring is going to be complex for Peru. If we do not want the state to put in more money, we have to prepare ourselves for models such as those in Brazil, Petrobras, as there is in Colombia, Colombia, in which there is, let's say, state capital, but there is capital, let's say, from the state, but there is private capital. This would help us to avoid putting at risk the capital of all Peruvians. Of all Peruvians is not put at risk, and it would help us to have the best governance of the company.
And the goal should be, Victor, the 240,000 barrels that we consume per day, and that we only have today 20,000 barrels per day. And today we only have 20,000, at least for a matter of, let's call it national security, we should produce what we need, at least, right?
Of course, and again, if we look at the Marañón Basin, which is a basin that is very well developed by Ecuador and Colombia, it makes a lot of sense to explore it completely, and obviously it makes a lot of sense to explore it completely, and obviously it makes a lot of sense to explore it completely. It makes a lot of sense to explore it completely, and obviously also the continental zone in front of the Sea of Piura. So, if there is no exploration, the mining business remains under the ground, and that natural resource is a potential to be developed.
Perfect, Victor. Thank you very much. Add to that at Expomina we are going to have a regional leader from Occidental Petroleum, which is a little bit in line with what you are saying. First, before saying whether Peru is a country with oil or not, first we have to explore. We cannot say that it is not if we have not explored the zones. That could really give us good news. Thank you very much, Victor. Thank you very much, Victor. Well, now let's go with Gabriela Chicoma ahead with Expomina.
Thank you very much. Expomina Peru from September 11th to 13th, 2024 will be chaired by Luis Rivera, Executive Vice President of Golfes Las Americas. Highlight your brand through the different sponsorships we offer at Expomina Peru, networking opportunities, participation in exclusive activities, promotion in the media, among other important benefits. For more information, please visit our website, www.expominaperu.com.
Well, now we would like to present this report of our visit as a mining course to Minera Condestable. Please go ahead.
Continuing with our visits to mining operations, this time Rumbo Minero TV arrives to Compañía Minera Condestable, located in the province of Cañete, Department of Lima.
Rumbo Minero visited the facilities of Condestable Mining Company, which is operated by Southern Peaks Mining. Condestable is a subway copper mine that is optimizing its production processes not only to increase production but also to start its decarbonization plan. In this regard, Southern Peaks General Manager Adolfo Vera said that Condestable is its flagship unit.
No, Condestable is our flagship unit. It is the unit that we have had other operating mines in the past, but Condestable is the unit with which we decided to consolidate, and it was also the unit that pushed us to choose copper as the metal on which we want to concentrate. So yes, it means a lot to the company, and it has been, I believe, an asset that has allowed us to develop both from a financial point of view, obviously, but above all from a technical point of view. Well, last year we produced approximately 22,000 tons of copper equivalent. This is copper and the equivalent in gold and silver production For this year, we had a goal of 23,000, and we are looking to beat the goal and try to push to between 24 and 25,000 tons of copper equivalent. We have a mine that had much more life than when we found it, when we acquired it, and it is a life that can continue to be extended because the deposit is still open in all directions. Regarding the potential that Condestable may have, we have 45,000 hectares of concessions. We are operating on approximately 4,000 of them, so there is a lot of exploration scope, and it would not be at all surprising to have perhaps 1 or 2 more Condestables in that space.
In terms of technology, Condestable is testing several artificial intelligence projects.
We have several artificial intelligence pilots that are under test right now. One in particular in our flotation area, with a view to increasing the metallurgical recovery of copper in our process. We are also implementing an artificial intelligence test in exploration, basically with a view to reducing the volatility of results in exploration tasks. And we want to implement artificial intelligence in our maintenance work in order to have predictive maintenance models that decrease, and let's say ideally eliminate plant shutdowns for corrective maintenance, so that on the artificial intelligence side, on the automation side, we have acquired our first jumbo, our first Simba, really, or long-hole drilling rig, which is going to operate automatically. That's going to allow us to increase the capacity or the productivity of these rigs by about 20%, which is no small thing, let's say. And we are developing with a local supplier a solution to be able to have remote scoop operating stations in the mine.
Today, the circular economy is applied in different industrial sectors, such as mining. On this subject, Nicolas Aldana, tailings manager at Condestable Mining Company, tells us about the company's plans.
We are taking important steps here. Among those, to migrate to filtered tailings issues, and also with the filtered tailings process to recover 95% of the water. Likewise, to improve the safety issues of these critical infrastructures that have an environmental and social impact.
Specifically, this process that you are going to carry out, the change in the tailings, what exactly does it consist of?
We are going to install a filtered dehydration tailing plant, which will consist of 3 filter presses. 3 filter presses to reach 8,400 tons per day, with its agitator tanks, its pumping system, and the return of water to the operation. We have finished detailed engineering. The permit from the ITS has been approved by the ITS because we have managed as a technological improvement, and we are in the process of obtaining the construction authorization permit. So we can start with the early activities, which are going to be earthworks, and go out to purchase the main equipment in the coming months.
Specifically, what equipment is involved here?
The filters, which are the longest pieces of equipment, which are almost 40 weeks of supply. The electrical part, transformers, substations and pumping stations. As of the year 2026, we should be depositing in the regravera 5B, which will be a mixed regravera where it will be transformed from cycloneado to filtered regravera. There we will be depositing, and then when we finish doing this work to stabilize the infrastructure, we will move to tailings deposit 6, which we are also in the process of managing.
He also said that studies are being carried out to find other uses for the tailings dams.
We are studying how to achieve a zero waste mine. There are already several cases worldwide where there are mines that commercialize their tailings. The case of the Nexa mine, we also have this plan to convert the tailings we have here into a sand quarry for concrete supply. So we are moving forward with small investigations for now at the laboratory and conceptual level. To be able to see what metallurgical processes apply to our mineralogy that we have in the tailings.
Due to climate change, today mining companies have set themselves the goal of reducing their CO2 emissions, and Compañía Minera Condestable is no exception. In this regard, Cecilia Ravich, Vice President of Environmental, Social and Sustainability Affairs, tells us about the steps they are taking in the area of decarbonization.
We began to measure our footprint in the year 2019. We already have from 2019 to 2023 measurements. The next group or volume in emissions was associated with Scope 1, which is our process, let's say, our internal transportation and our fuel use. So there we have a specific goal, a work plan for decarbonization of equipment. No, not machinery, but our trucks. We have an electric truck pilot that works very well. Our first fleet of electric trucks started as a pilot. We now want to extend this pilot, and we have a 10-year plan of energy transition for all our units and also fuel switching. Our plan is as we have it in place. We have a target, a decarbonization goal of 38% by 2030. And with the plan as we have today, as we have it structured today, we can ensure a 50% reduction by 2050.
Of course, you are the first mining company to obtain or have renewable electric energy, right? And you are also the first subway mining company to obtain Coppermar certification. Tell me a little bit about how you prepared for this. Well, yes.
It's not fair to set the precedent. It's not an easy road to be the first, you know? But it allows us to generate learning and allows us to share it. We decided to go with Coppermark in a change of objective, in a cultural transition that was generated in the company, where we decided to be the first in several issues. It was decided to be a reference for medium mining and to demonstrate that it was not necessary to be a large mining company to have excellent environmental, social, and sustainability performance. We looked for 3 pillars that would allow us a frame of reference for where we had to go. On the technical side, we chose the ICMM standard for the management of mining waste, tailings, and waste rock. In fact, we generated governance associated with this. On the social issue, we decided to address all our projects towards the United Nations SDGs, towards the Sustainable Development Goals, and to align all our actions towards that. And in the area of governance, sustainability, ethics, we chose Coppermark. Why? Because Coppermark integrated many standards. So it was not biased to a single group, but allowed us to have a fairly broad sustainability umbrella of human rights, ethics, integrity, governance, environment, decarbonization, climate management, which we liked very much and which gave us a roadmap of where we should be heading.
Compañía Minera Condestable is also promoting a social development model with Profonampe through the Mala Sustainable Project. To learn more about this initiative, we spoke with Eric Romero, Project Coordinator.
Well, the main objective of the Mala Sustainable Project is to improve the living conditions of the population, specifically the rural community of Mala, by diversifying their income. In this sense, we promote the implementation of bio-businesses with a triple economic, environmental, and social impact, as well as the sustainable use of these ecosystems. The project has 4 fundamental pillars. The first is the development and promotion of sustainable tourism. The second of these is productive development. The third is linked to the use of solid and liquid waste, basically circular economy. And the fourth is linked to the provision of drinking water in the community. The participation of the population, specifically the rural community of Mala, is essential and important to be able to show the achievements and progress of the project. What we do is to involve the population from the beginning, from planning to implementation. Why? Because we look for people like Emma, like Faustina, like Don Cesar, like Don Benigno, like Beatriz, who take ownership of the interventions that we carry out with the purpose that they have, sustainability over time. Likewise, the other benefit that the project provides to its beneficiaries is that we provide the seed capital to be able to implement the ventures, the bio-businesses that we are developing. This is with continuous technical support. We have to train them in terms of, we have to train them at a personal level, at an empowerment level, at a management level, at a sales and marketing strategy level. But above all, we also seek to promote personal development of people and their families. Compañía Minera Condestable and Profonampe meet at a working table promoted by Peru Sustainable, where evidently what they do is to promote the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals by the year 2030. In this sense, both institutions have a common vision of achieving a sustainable use of resources and changing the welfare paradigm to generate sustainable intervention projects over time, as I mentioned a moment ago, with a triple economic, social, and environmental impact. This project has a duration of 5 years and ends approximately in January 28.
Well, that was our report on our visit to Minero Condestable. Now we go on to Gabriela Chicoma in Expomina.
Thank you very much. Expomina Peru, the largest and most important mining meeting in Peru in 2024, with 16 years of trajectory. Do business with the mining sector of Peru and America. Expomina Peru from September 11th to 13th, 2024 at the Yoke and Lima Exhibition Center. Portfolio of mining projects in Peru for more than $53 million and portfolio of mining projects in America for $450 million. Invest with the leaders. Participate in Expomina Peru 2024. For more information, check our website www.expominaperu.
Activos Mineros. AMSAC is a Peruvian public company with a great purpose to give life back to the planet. Thus, we are dedicated to contribute to the sustainable development of the country through mining environmental remediation. In AMSAC, we recover the areas affected by high and very high-risk mining liabilities, which are in a situation of abandonment or in which the state has not identified the responsible parties. In this line of work, today we are present in 11 regions of Peru, with a portfolio of 65 remediation projects, which are located in different phases. Promotion of private investment. In AMSAC, we represent the Peruvian state as counterpart of the transfer contracts of important mining projects, and, in addition, we supervise the fulfillment of the commitments and obligations that are part of such processes. Today we are leaders in corporate management systems. Among the 35 companies of the FONAFE Corporation, we have ISO 9001 certifications in quality management, ISO 14001 in environmental management, ISO 37001 in anti-bribery management, and ISO 45000 and 5001 in environmental management in occupational health and safety management. At AMSAC, sustainability and care for the planet are our DNA, and therefore we are proud to contribute to creating a better world through the recovery of air, water, soil, and ecosystems impacted by mining liabilities, and thus contribute to 10 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals by the year 2030. Giving life back to the planet is more than a simple phrase for us. It is the guide of our daily actions, with which we positively impact the lives of thousands of Peruvians, and through them in our country.
Paltarumi, a company dedicated to the acquisition and processing of gold ore, committed to sustainable development and social responsibility. We guarantee full traceability of our products. We use state-of-the-art industrial technologies that allow us to guarantee efficiency in the production process, maximize our resources, and protect the environment, fulfilling our commitment to preserve nature. Paltarumi SAC. Together we are better.
Well, coming to the end of the program, Cesar, it seems to me that I am going to start at the end. The part mentioned by Victor is very interesting. The Petro-Peru issue, we have to take a good look if we really... We have had some interviews. Petro-Peru should be terminated, but others, like Victor's, are in favor of it. Is that we have to take a good look at what we have.
And we have to make Petro-Peru to be efficient. Exactly. Besides, as he himself points out, the change in the energy matrix is still going to take time. Petro in Colombia has failed trying to accelerate the pace of this change and restricting oil production, and we have to take advantage of it somehow. But I also wanted to refer that Victor Gomez, as head of the National Society of Mining and Petroleum and Energy, has supported very well and highlighted the efforts of Romulo Mucho, that at present he is speeding up quite a few of the cumbersome procedures that exist, not only in mining exploration, as Gomez Peru has pointed out in a report, but also in the same report, but also in the exploitation itself, right? There are expansion projects, environmental impact studies that are being approved more quickly, and I think that is good.
I think that's the number one job of the minister or the ministry. And I think we are noticing people who know the sector, and that really things can always be done better, but progress is being made. And definitely one of those issues is Tia Maria. The fact that Tia Maria has left is a very good image for everybody. Good. Don't move. Next is Peru Constray on the mining course. Thank you very much, and in a few minutes we will see you for what is. Thank you.